continue. Okay. So we were talking about conditions in Python, and we will see some more examples today. So let's say, you have so we'll start with something that we did yesterday. Check if a number is positive, negative, or zero, right? Okay, so we will build it. Now, here, so we will take a number, right? So num1 equal to, I'm going to read it from the user. So I'm going to say input, enter a number, right? And first thing, we need to check if this number is positive or negative or zero, isn't it? So I'm going to have if, and I'm going to check if this number is negative. So I'm going to say num1 less than 0. And here I'll say this is negative, right? And then here elif num1 equal to 0, and I'll say print this is 0. Else print this is positive, right? So let's run this and check if we got it right. Oops. System is indexing. Okay, this is what happens sometimes. So I'm going to say pause here. I don't want it to index. Okay. Run v1. Okay, so you can see the output here. So here, enter a number. I say 45. So it says positive because if you enter 45, is 45 less than 0? No, false. This condition is false. So it will not go to if, right? And you understand the tab space, right, Vamsi? Why we give tab?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, to indicate that this statement belongs to if, correct? And that's why we give tab. Okay. So so it becomes false, and that's the beauty of if, elif, else. Instead of writing multiple if that we saw yesterday, that in if, elif, else, only one condition will execute. So in this case, if this is false, okay, in this case this is false, obviously. So it is going to skip this part and directly go to the next part. Okay, num1, is it equal to 0? No, it is not even equal to 0. So it will skip this and go to the third part, which is else, and else will be printed. If none of the above conditions gets executed, by default, else will get executed. So else gets executed and says it's positive, right? So you get positive here. Now, let's add some more, logic to it. So I'm going to say, if the number is negative, find the square root. Okay, we need to find the square root. Okay, now how do we find the square root? Okay, now see, this is your num, right? So I'm going to say print square root of, okay, square root of, and I'm going to use format strings. I'm going to say f here. And if you put f, you need to give the variable within curly bracket, right? I'm going to say num1. So square root of num1 is, okay, and what we discussed was that to calculate square, we use double star 2, right? So num1 star 2, okay, means you're saying square of num1, right? So, okay, if you do square of 2, okay, sorry, square of num, you write double star 2, right? Now, if you have to do square root, it becomes 1 by 2, power of 1 by 2. So square is power of 2 and square root is power of 1 by 2, right? So instead of saying 2 here, which will make it square, I'm going to say 1 by 2, or directly I'll replace this with 0.05. To indicate that I want to find square root of this number. Now when I run this and I say minus 10, what happens? Okay, so see, square root of 10 is 1.936, okay, e power minus 6. So it gave a scientific notation. Okay, so this is your integer part, which is almost 0. 1.9 e power minus 16 is like 0.15 So this is 0 actually, right? And this 3.1625, this is your j, isn't it? So j is how you write complex numbers. Square root of negative numbers are complex numbers, isn't it? Okay. So we calculated the square root of negative numbers. Make sense? Okay. Now let's add one more logic to it. Okay. If number is positive, okay. If number is positive, check if it's divisible by 15. Okay. Now, how do we check if it is divisible 15? How do you know a number is divisible by 15? No idea?
It's divided. You are saying that way? Like the number should be divided by 15?
Yeah, so the number should be divisible. If you divide that number by 15, okay, remainder should be 0. Okay, remainder should be 0.
So that's 15 only, na?
No, 30 is also divisible by 15.
No, but the remainder will be there, na?
No. If you divide 30 by 15, what is the remainder?
True.
Remainder is 0. So if you divide a number, what is 4 by 2?
Oh,
What?
answer is 2. Yeah, answer is 2. Remainder is 0. Yeah.
Yes, answer is true, remainder is 0. So you have to check, right? So you have to check if it is, if it is, remainder is 0 or not. If remainder is 0, only then you can say it is true, right? So I need to check, okay, if remainder is 0. That's when we say that number is divisible by 15. So this is very positive number is, right? So I'm going to say if your num1 and when you divide this by 15, correct? Right? And so percentage sign is for remainder. What happened? Percentage sign is for remainder. Okay. So percentage is called modulo. Will give you remainder, right? So if num1 percentage 15 equal to 0, okay, then we say print number is divisible by 15. Else you will say print number is not divisible by 15. correct? So this is when your number is positive. That's why I'm putting this condition inside the else part, because here we know that number is positive. Here we know the number is positive. So we are putting it here. Okay. Now let's say we run it. Okay. And we say 90. The number is divisible 50. You run it and you say 95. Number is not divisible 50. Now, if it is divisible 15, then, okay, then if the number is positive, check if it's divisible 15, and calculate. Okay, so this we will do when we do loop. Okay, because we need to iterate through the number. Okay, now if number is positive, check if it's 2-digit. Check if it's 2-digit or not. Okay, if 2-digit, if 2 digits, then interchange the values. That means if it is 35, it should become 53. Otherwise, check if it is below 15. So this should be there, okay? But this first, before I perform this, I need to check if number is, okay, 2-digit or not. So how do you check if number is 2-digit? Okay, so because 2-digit positive, right? So if num1 is greater than 9 and num1 is less than 100. Okay, number should be greater than 9 and, okay, and not or, right? And it should be less than 900. Then you know that it is a 2-digit number. Okay, and you say here, makes sense? So if number is greater than 9, okay, no, sorry. Okay, so here, okay, if this is the case, then we need to interchange the value, correct? So I'm going to write interchange the values. And if it is else, then you perform this, right? That's what, otherwise, okay, otherwise interchange the values. Sorry, interchange the value, otherwise check if it is below 15. So if it is not a 2-digit number, then we are checking it is divisible or not. If it is 2-digit number, then we don't have to check, we simply have to interchange the value. Now, how do we interchange the value? Okay, so if it is example, I said 35 should become 53. 55 will become 53, will remain 53. How do we do that? So what we need to do is, we need to divide it by 10. Right? So if you divide, okay, divide number by 10. So if I divide and divide 35 by 10, okay, then we get 3 as dividend and 5 as remainder. So remainder should become 10 times and dividend should be added to that value. Isn't it? So your dividend, okay, D equal to 35 /10. Double slash will give you integer division. Single slash will give you 3.5. But double slash will give you double slash will give you the dividend part. Okay, just that your the integer part. Okay, so let me show it in Paint. Okay, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So let's say you have 35 and I'm dividing 35 by 10. Okay, you must have done it in your high school, right? 10 3 is 30, correct? So this is your dividend and this is your remainder. Yes, with me? Guys, tell me, are you with me or not?
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
this you get using double slash. Okay, so if I do 35 single slash 10, I will get 3.5. If I do 35 double slash 10, you get 3. Just this part, the integer part, just the integer part. And if you say 35 mod 10, you get remainder, right? This is what we have seen earlier. So this is how you can get dividend and you can get remainder. So let's go back to our program. Okay, so I'm going to say instead of write 35, let's write num1, right? That's the actual number. Number is the number, isn't it? Now, remainder will be your num1 mod 10, correct? And the new number is remainder times 10 plus dividend. So you say print f num1 is now made into new num. Okay, so let's run this program. Enter a number 53. So it is positive and 53 is now is now made into 35. You see, 53 becomes 35. If I run it and if I give single digit, it is positive and it says not divisible by 15. You run it, you give 3-digit number, let's say 100 I give. Okay, it is positive and it's not divisible 15. So I'm saying that if it is 2-digit number, then you interchange the values. Okay, for single digit and more than 2-digit, check if it is divisible 15 or not. Obviously, single digit will not be divisible by 15, but as per the question, this is how you will build it. So, what I'm doing here, I am, okay, I'm trying to solve the big problem, okay, by reading step or reading a portion of it, right? You don't have to boil the ocean. That's what we say, right? Don't think of boiling the ocean. So when you have a question like this, and when you read the entire question, it will look confusing. So go step by step. Check if a number is positive, negative, or zero. Focus here. Let me get this right. Then what does it say? Okay, if number is negative, okay, if number is negative, let's find square root, fine. If number is positive, check if it is 2-digit or not. Let me check if it is 2-digit or not. Then interchange. Okay, then we will interchange. Otherwise, okay. So, right? So there are like 5 small programs into it, right? This is one program is equivalent of writing 15 small programs. So when you encounter your problems at work, at your exam or wherever, okay, try to solve it by step. Okay, don't read the entire paragraph and then get scared. Oh, what should I do? Make sense? I'll also attach a link to a document, okay, which talks about basic programming. Okay, it starts with very basic, talks about algorithm. So over the weekend, I want you to go through that algorithm and And that document actually does programming in C. So what I want you to do is read that document, and I want you to do the programming in Python. So whatever program they're doing in C, I want you to do that in Python. It talks about comparing two numbers, three numbers. Okay, there are some examples there. Okay, so read, and all the programs which they are doing, okay, I want you to do, but they're doing in C, you have to do it in Python. Very simple, very basic. Okay, they're not even as big as this. They're very basic, mostly for those who are new to programming, for them to get used to programming. Okay, so that's why read that, but I want you to focus on writing Python code. Will you do that over the weekend? Is that a promise?
Sure.
Yes.
Perfect. Sounds good. Okay, so with that, we will stop talking about conditional statements. Okay, conditions and loops. This is the foundation of any and every program. So, future, whatever we do, we have to use loop and conditions. That's why first we will practice these two. Okay, and good that weekend is coming. I want you to go back, revise, practice, make yourself comfortable with loops and conditions. And after that, it's all about building on what you have already learned. Okay. Cool. So now we will move on to next topic, which is loops. Okay. What is loop? Loop is to repeat something. Condition is, okay, is that where you are deviating, right? You are, like in this case, okay, this is a block of code and this is also a block of code. Not every time this block of code will be executed. Only in certain condition, when this condition meets, only you will perform this. If this condition is executed, only then you will do this, right? So your program is capable of doing 5 different things, but not all 5 things will happen at the same time, right? Based on the condition, based on the value that you provide, it will change, isn't it? So that's called conditions, where you look at the condition and then you perform certain thing. Now we'll talk about loops. Okay, loops is to repeat the given block of code multiple times. Okay, now you have here 2 types of loop. Okay, one where you know exactly how many times to execute. Okay, when you know exactly how many times to run. Okay, so I want to run 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, right? Okay, so give me 10 numbers, give me 50 numbers, give me 5 different values, right? So you know how many numbers to give. Okay, so I need to run 10 times, I need to run 5 times. So you use for loop. Then you have here, second condition is you don't know how many times you want to repeat, but you know that you have to repeat. Okay, but there will be a condition to stop. Okay, for example, okay, perform this till user says no. Okay, so you do one round and ask the user, do you want to continue? He says yes. So I have to do one more. So generally, when you have these menu options, right? When you open a website and you want to book a ticket, right? It does not say, okay, I'm done for today. I know only 1,000 users were booking, and you are 1,001st, so you can't, right? So it will keep on executing, right? Whenever you call, whenever you try to book, a ticket will be booked. So how many times should it run? Multiple times. Till user says yes, you have to run it. Okay. So there you don't know exactly how many times, but till user says you will do it. Okay. So your execution, okay, or repetition, the repetition, right? I think I got the spelling correct. Repetition is done based on a certain condition. So see, condition is coming here as well. So condition, if condition is true, you keep doing it, okay? Otherwise, when condition becomes false, you stop there. So these are 2 types of loops, okay? In Java, C++, you have 3 types of loops, okay? Your second type, okay, is again divided into two parts. Okay, you have a while and do while. Here, there is no do while, it is only while. Okay, so this we implement using while. Okay, there is no do while kind of loop. Okay, and if you don't know what is do while, don't worry. Anyway, it's not there in Python, so you don't have to worry about. Okay, so this is how we implement loops in Python using for loop or while loop. So you can use any one of these. Okay, you can use for loop or while loop, but there are certain situations where for loop, okay, is easier to implement than while loop. There are certain situations where while loop is easier to implement than for loop. Which are those situations? This is what I have written. When you know how many times you can do using while loop also. Okay, but while loop may not be as efficient as using for loop. Okay, when you want to continue doing like when you don't know how many times to run, okay, you can even implement using for loop, but while will make it easier and more efficient. Okay, so we'll see how we do that. Maybe today we'll focus on for loop and tomorrow we'll focus on while loop. But before we get into for loop and while loop, we'll talk about one more function. Okay, functions are inbuilt programs which have a certain meaning, isn't it? So range is another inbuilt function. So far we have seen what all functions. We started with print, then we saw input, then we saw type, correct? Then we saw how to convert into integer, a string, complex, bool, okay, float. Did I miss any other function that we have done and I've not written here? So yes, these are the functions that we have already seen them in action, correct? Now we are learning one more function called range. Okay, so range will generate range of values. Okay, how does it generate? Which values does it generate? Okay, so the way you write range is that you give first starting value, ending value, and increment. So range can take up to 3 parameters. Range can take up to 3 parameters, 3 different values. What are those 3 different values? Start and increment. Start is from where you want to start, end is up to where you want to go, and increment is by how much you want to increase, right? So generates range of values from A up to B by increasing, okay, each element by increment. Okay, so let's understand this. Generates range of values, great. From A, okay, what is A here? I have not written A, right? A is your start. A up to B is up to end. And I see here the language. Start with A. So if I give start value as 5, you're starting with 5. But when you are ending it, you need to end with up to. Okay, so if you have 10, you go up to 9. If you have 100, you go up only up to 99. You cannot touch 100. You cannot touch the ending value. Make sense? You don't touch, it's up to. Now let's say an example here. Okay. Okay. So let's say okay, range. And I put 5, comma, 12, comma, 3. Let me put a little bigger number here. 5, comma, 18, comma, 3. So what is the value of start? 5. What is value of end? 18. And value of increment is 3. Okay. Okay. So the range will generate range of values starting from start value. Start value is 5. Okay, so 5, it will generate 5. The next number that is going to generate is 5 plus increment. What is 5 plus increment? 8. So you get 5 plus 3, 8. Okay, better I'll put 6, then you can actually see. So 6, I'm putting 6 here. 6 plus 3, 9. 9 plus 3, 15. Okay. And after 15, what do we get?
And 9 plus 3, 12, right? Then 15.
Oh, 12. Yes. So you guys are not sleeping, right? You guys are active. Yes. 9 plus 3 is 12, not 15. Where are you guys? Okay. So 6, 9, 12. After 12,
15.
15. After 15,
18.
sorry,
18.
18. 18? Yes.
Yes.
But what did I say? It's up to 18.
Yes.
Okay. So 18 is not included.
Yes.
Okay. 18 is not included. So this is not going to give you 18. This will only give you up to 15. So range 6, 18, 3 will give you values 6, 9, 12, and 15. With me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now range, if it takes 3 values, then this is what it means. Okay. Range can take 2 values also. It not take always 3 values. Okay. When you see range with 3 values, you know that you have start and you have ending and you have increment. But when you see the range with just 2 values, it is just start and end. There is no increment. Increment is default 1. So if I say a range of say 15, 19, tell me the number that it will generate. It will generate 15. Increment is 1, isn't it? So it will generate 16. It will generate 17. It will generate 18. And it will not generate 19. Okay. It will generate 15, 16, 17, and 18. It's not going to generate 19. Okay, up to. So this is how you use range. And range can have 2 values. It can have 3 values. It can also have just 1 value. Okay, which is your end. In this case, start equal to 0 and increment equal to 1. Okay, so if you say, if you see range with just 1 value, if you see range function with just 1 value, that means it is talking about ending. It's not talking about your start or your increment. Why? Because start is 0 in that case, and increment is 1. in that case. Okay, so if you see range with value 6, then this is going to generate 0. Okay, or it will always starts from the start value, and start value is 0 here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. So range of 6 will generate 6 values, which are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. These are the values that range will generate in this case. So range can have 3 values, can have 2 values, or can have 1 value. It will not have 0 values, or it will not have 4 values. So 3 possibilities, 3 ways of implementing range. Just like input, okay. Input, we saw 2 usage, 2 ways, not usage, 2 ways of using input. One, where you don't provide anything in the input. When you don't provide, the message will not come, right? Enter a number, right? And one second case is where you put a text inside input. If you put a text inside input, then you get the text there. Otherwise, if you don't put, you don't get text, isn't it? So you can have input with 1 parameter, or at max 1 parameter, or okay, 0 parameter. You can have input with 0 parameter, or at max 1 parameter. Range will have minimum of 1 parameter, maximum of 3 parameters. Okay. So now we will see how to use for loop and range together. Okay. That's why we are learning range here, because we will use range with if condition here. For loop, not if condition. We have gone ahead of condition. We are talking about loop. So using for loop. Okay. So we'll see how we use range with for loop. So to use for loop, you will say for. Okay. And I want to generate values. Okay. We will use each of these to see how it works. 6, 8, 3. So this range will generate values, and for will make sure that range generates 1 by 1. Okay, and then I'm going to say here var in range. So there are 4 things here. One is your for, second is var, third is in, fourth is range. There are 4 things that we remember here, or we need to know here. Range, we know what range does, right? We just discussed what range is. So out of 4, we know what range is, right? So what happens to other, what is other 3? When you say in, okay, and in is an operator, just like your plus minus, it is an operator. What it does is, it takes the value from right-hand side and give it to left-hand side. Okay, so var in range. So var will take, for loop will make sure that var takes a value each from range, but 1 at a time. That's the job of for loop. So variable, okay, so if I say do it 10 times. Now, okay, so if I say do it 10 times, you need someone to calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, right? How do you know you have done 10 or not? Okay, if you don't have, if you're not counting, you might end up at 7, 8, or you might go up to 15, 20, right? So if you want to do something like X number of times, you need someone or something to count 1 to X for you. This is what actually var is doing. So var is a variable, okay, which is doing the counting for us. So var is doing counting. Where will it get the number? It has to get the number, right? That number to var is given by the range function. So in this case, var will count here 6, 9, 12, 15, 4 times. So this loop will run 4 times with var 6, 9, 12, and 15. So this loop will run 4 times with var value, okay, taking from the range function. So we'll see how it works. So I'm going to say for var in range 6, 18, 3, Okay, and now I'm going to say here, print hello from the loop. From the loop. Okay, and I'm going to print next line, value of var is comma var. Okay, now let's see the value of var here. Okay, we're still running the previous program. Okay, let me click on this file. It's a new file that we are using, right? So I'm going to run, click on this. Okay, so see what happened. Hello from the loop one time, hello from the loop, hello from the loop, hello from the loop, 4 times. And value of var is 6, 9, 12, 15. So every time you're running the loop, okay, the value of var is increasing by the increment. Okay, so this is how you write a loop which run 4 times. Okay. Now, this is not the only way to do it, right? You can choose the range function based on your requirement. So this is just to show you that you can have a range function with 3 values, and this is how you run a loop with range having 3 values, start, end, and increment. Okay. Now, next time, okay, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. And here I'm going to say count, okay. I'm changing the value here just to show you that this is simply a variable, doesn't matter what you give. And we'll take the second value, range 15, 19. 15, 19. Hello from the loop 2. We'll say 2. Now, what did I say? What is range? Range will generate value from 15 to 19. 15, 16, 17, 18. This is what we said, right? So let's run and see what happens. So this is your loop 1 ending, right? This is from where your loop 2 has begun. So hello from the loop 2, value of var is 15. Hello from loop 2, value of var is 16. See, it is getting incremented by 1 automatically. Range without the third parameter is like default incrementing by 1. So you are incrementing the value by default 1. So this is another way to do the run a program 4 times, right? So you give starting value, you give ending value, okay? An increment by default is 1. Now let's look at third type of range where we give just 1 value. So range, I'll give only 4 here. And I'll call this as loop 3. Now, see what's the value of count 3. So loop 3 is from here, isn't it? So hello from the loop 3, print value of var is count. Count is 0, right? First, by default, it's 0 because we are not giving the starting value. When you don't give the starting value, it is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? So your value is now printed with me. So what I'll
Yes.
do, okay, is pause here. Okay. So we will now see a couple of uses. Okay. I want to print, let's say, one pattern. Okay. So let's say I want to print star, single star, you print single star. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll move this to the previous one so that we can actually, when we run it, we don't have to see the old code. Okay, we are here. Okay, so when I say print star and when you run it, you get a star pattern, right? Obviously, of course. Now I want to print star 5 times. If I want to print star 5 times, what should I do? I need to use for loop. For, okay, I'm going to use a variable I for I in range 5. What we saw that when you give only one parameter to range, it will start from 0 and increment by 1, isn't it? So it will generate 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 to 4 is 5. So this is going to generate 5 stars for us. Oops. Okay. This has to be with the indentation, right? So you get 5 stars here, isn't it? Okay. You get a 5 star. Now I want to generate these 5 stars in one single line. Then what do we do? How do you generate the stars in one single line? See, so range, okay, will generate 0 to 4 and for loop will print your values. Okay, sorry, will repeat this print 5 times. So for loop job is to repeat this entire code. If I have 10 lines of code, this 10 lines of code will repeat 5 times. So in that you have print, so it is going to print it onto your screen. Great. Now I want to print in same line. We did this before, right? How do you make sure that print will print in the same line? So we have to remove that invisible new line. I told you every print has an invisible new line at the end. Okay. So okay. See, if you have done programming using C++ or Java before, you will know that okay, every time after you're done with print, you have to print a new line, okay, to go to the next line. So Python says 99% of the time, okay, you want output to be in different line. Okay, you want output to be in different lines. If 99% of the time, if you want output in different line, so why not include new line along with print only? You don't have to type print again and again and again. New line again, right? In print, if you give it, it will print a new line. But 1% of the time, okay, you might have the requirement of 1% of the time, you will have requirement of printing in same line, like in this case we have. I want to print all the 5 stars in same line. Then what do I do? So you have to first make that new line visible by putting this end. End is a command which is added to print, okay? By default, when you don't write this, okay, what I'm trying to say is if you don't write this, okay, when you just put print, this is as good as writing this. So this is written to every print and this is invisible. So now if I don't want this /n, if I want it to print it in same line, I will say end equal to, and instead I'll give a space here. So now when you run it, so you see you get the stars in same line. So this is how you can remove the new line from the print, the default new line from the print. Default, automatically it is added to print. Okay, automatically it is added to print. We removed it. Okay. Now I want to, okay, so I'm thinking, okay, I want to generate numbers from 1 to 100. I want to generate numbers from 1 to 100, right? So how do I generate numbers 1 to 100? I will say for I in range 1 to 100. So I need to start from 1 and go up to 101. right? And you say print I. Okay, when you print I, it will print vertically, right? 1 to 100. Okay, but I want to print it in the same line. So I'll say again, and equal to, and I'll put comma here, maybe. Now, when you run it, what happens? See, this star got printed here, and then print has removed the new line, right? So you are here, you're standing here. So when you print next stuff, it's printing from the same position. So if you want to bring it back, I have to print, I have to give a blank print, because the blank print, okay, will generate blank line, isn't it? Because print has a line, right, in itself, new line. So it's going to generate blank line. Okay, so when I run it, okay, see, we have come to new line, and this is generating your value from 1 to 100. You can go and check, last value is 1 to 100. Okay, after this again, I will put a print here. Oops. So that we get to next line. Now, next question is, okay, generate even or generate first 10 even numbers. Generate first 10 even numbers. Before that, okay, let's do one more program. Before then, we'll do this 10 numbers. Generate even numbers, or we'll put odd numbers, okay. Generate odd numbers between 1 and 30, let's say. So I'm saying generate odd numbers between 1 and 30. Okay. Now, when I say 1 and 30, that will start from 1, go up to 30, isn't it? So if I have to print the number, I can use range, right? I'll copy this entire stuff and put it here. So I'm going to generate between 1 and 30, correct? So I'll say 1 and 30. But when I say 1 and 1, 30, it will generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 29. But I don't want 2, 4, 6, 8. I want only 1, 3, 5. So I'll say increment by 2. When you say increment by 2, now you see, you get 1, 3, 5, 7 up to 29. So this is how you generate odd number or prime number or whatever, right? You can generate, and you will get the values here. So I'm using range to generate odd numbers for me. Now, how do I generate 10 even numbers? See, here you gave range 1 to 30, so it was easy for us to generate using range. We generated, and we don't have to count whether it is 15 or whether it is 16 or whether it is 14. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, it generated. Okay, but here, okay, it will be something similar, but here you are not asking range to generate, you're asking range to count. So if I say range of 0, okay, range of 10 rather, so range of 10 will repeat this loop 10 times, right? So I'm only counting it 10 times. So this is going to generate or repeat your function, or sorry, not function, repeat your block of code 10 times. Now we will add our logic of, generating even numbers. How do you generate even numbers? So even number starts from 0, isn't it? So I need to add start or something here 0. Because if I add this within the loop, the start will be again executed again and again. Start is outside. I'm saying start here. Now here I will print start value, correct? And the next value of start should be start plus equal to 2, or start equal to start plus 2. And I'll tell you what plus equal to means, but let's understand this first. Okay, so I'm putting start equal to 0 here. Now inside loop, I'm printing start. So this will print 0. Start value is 0. So it'll print 0. Now I'm changing the value of start to start plus 2. So your 0 will become now, the start will have 0 first, right? Now this is 0 plus 2. So start will have now 2. And it goes to the beginning of the loop. Prints 2. Okay, then comes here. Start is now 2. So 2 plus 2, 4. The start value is now 4. It goes up. Prints 4. Comes down. 4 plus 2 is 6. Goes up. Print 6 comes down. 6 plus 2 is 8. Goes up. Print 8 comes down. This will repeat 10 times. We don't have to know the ending value. Okay, it will, the loop will repeat 10 times and it will stop automatically. Right? So let's see this. So 0, 2, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See, it printed 10 times. 10 even numbers. So we are only worried about how to print that logic for even number. Repeating that logic 10 times will be taken care by the loop. Isn't it? So we are repeating it 10 times, okay, and actual logic of printing, generating the values is taken care by the loop here. Okay, so this is how you can generate 10 numbers. I'll stop here. Okay, and if you have any questions, please ask. And I will let you go and practice this, and we'll continue here.